and the sheer amount of people that King Von allegedly played a role in killing has led to intense speculation.
So, all right, here's who I know about. This is what I'm saying. Like, I know some stuff about him. I heard about the duck situation. Damn, that's it. Oh, and KI.
I just want some money, baby, so right now I can't be sexual. Let me check my schedule, I gotta water my vegetables.
Just load to hit the stew, I got fire in the booth. I went and got the bag myself, I got tired of niggas blue lanes be acting, but these bitches know that I'm the main attraction. Pull up track hard, and I'm cutting off the track. Shit you wanted and I had it, I be creeping with the bags. Yeah, I hit it off my necklace, nigga, that's the chain reaction. Hey, double cupped up, I don't give a fuck. What the fuck is love? What the fuck is trust?
YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You feel me? We over here, we shooting these videos. We get them done. So, with that being said, let me get over here. All right, Bim. Up late, looking for videos to react to. What I come across, a video of somebody talking about Trap Lil Ross. Obviously, I react to Trap Lil Ross videos. I feel like he make good videos, you feel me? Even if, obviously, it's not all true. Or, I ain't gonna say it's not all true. But obviously, you feel me, it's more to the story because, you know, he wasn't there. And he's not, you know, in that. So the person said, like, oh, he get all this shit from Reddit. Like, I mean, okay, that's cool, whatever. Anyway, he made a video about Von. We're going to react to it. It's literally 3 hours and 45 minutes. We're not going to be on here that long. But what we are going to do is we are going to react to as much as possible. And I may do like 5 to 6 parts, maybe. The last part is when I'm going to just cut it off. Wherever we stop at, wherever we land at, that's what it is, all right? So again, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. And matter of fact, I may do more if y'all request more from there to see the rest of the video, okay? Cool, because video is taken down off of YouTube, so.
Ever since the 1980s, gangster rap has been one of hip-hop's most fascinating subgenres. From the mean streets of gang-infested Los Angeles that were brought to life
Shout
by
out to
early
Cloud Service,
gangster rap
good
pioneers
gangsters only.
like Ice
I
Cube
got
and
that.
NWA, to Tupac and Suge Knight
And
taking over the music.
Also, real quick, Raw. Holla at me, man. What's up? Let's get a sponsorship or something going. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, at this point, you feel me? Like, I'm really a brand ambassador. Like, I got trades and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I use. It's the only shit I use. I don't use nothing else. It's the only shit I use. You feel me? I even converted some of my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck with me. Come on, Rob.
Game with vivid tales of gang-affiliated rappers who would bully their way into the music industry. And then you have legends like Jay-Z and 50 Cent, whose tales of life in the streets as gangsters made them millionaires hundreds of times over. For decades now, rap fans have been looking for the realest artists, whose lyrics paint a picture of a real life of crime that isn't embellished or fabricated. But when it comes to rappers who truly keep it real, the Chicago drill scene has dominated for the last decade. First popularized by Chief Keef, the Chicago drill wave was characterized by rappers that grew up in the most dangerous blocks in America, with these up-and-coming artists rapping plainly and honestly about what they experienced growing up. Shootings on the block, disrespecting dead enemies, and constantly being chased by the police. Chicago drill rappers took gangster rap to raw new heights, where the stories behind the music could be matched up with the local news reports on the latest homicides. However, what happens when the people doing the killing start making the music too? Because in the years after Chief Keef popularized the violent stories of Chicago gang life, one of those gangsters killing people in the streets picked up a microphone too and started rapping in the first person from the perspective of the actual killer. King Von had a reputation in Chicago as a fearless killer before he'd even started.
I know a little bit about
It's widely
King Von,
believed, based on the statements he made in his own songs, that Von himself could have killed as many as 7 people in his career as a gangbanger, with more murders even taking place after he got rich and famous, with it being rumored that Von used his money and influence from the rap game to have old enemies in Chicago killed, and going on a journey which, in my opinion, takes him far beyond a street player who had to kill to survive in the mean streets of Chicago, because if King Von's tweets are anything to go by, he simply loved killing people. And the sheer amount of people that King Von allegedly played a role in killing has led to intense speculation.
So, all right, here's who I know about. This is what I'm saying. Like, I know some stuff about him. I heard about the duck situation. Damn, that's it. Oh, and KI. Oh, I know about Malcolm Stuckey also. Damn, that's crazy. That's the only ones I know. Yeah.
As to whether he was a full-blown serial killer. A title which King Von's enemies even said that him and his friends took personal pride in. Now, the FBI defines a serial killer as a person who kills over 3 people with time spans in between them of more than a month.
Damn.
Furthermore, serial killers take an element of psychological gratification, which plays a role in the motive for their murders. The FBI also state that a serial killer might seek various kinds of gratification through their killings, such as anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, or simply for attention. I personally believe that over the course of his career, King Von demonstrated all of these characteristics and can indeed be classified as a serial killer. King Von frequently exhibited behavior in public that conformed with these rules, tweeting regularly about his desire to kill, bragging about having committed specific murders in his music, which attracted him international attention and Billboard charting songs, with his drill anthems about murdering rivals making him a rich man with millions in his bank account. The FBI also point out another characteristic of serial killers, specifically that their victims may all have something in common. For example, a demographic profile, appearance, gender, or race. And it would appear that King Von only killed young black men and women from the community he lived in. These were people just like him, being born into a rundown part of Chicago and growing up with a lot of disadvantages. All that really separated Von from his victims were the fact that they were from a rival territory, and he believed that nobody would miss them. King Von has officially been implicated in 4 murders, 2 where he was suspected of being involved, but the police didn't have enough evidence to charge, and 1 case where he narrowly received a not guilty verdict after a key witness disappeared and a co-defendant implicated himself. Another that he's accused of organising with 5 of his closest childhood friends, the shooting of rival rapper FBG Duck in broad daylight at a busy shopping district. Von will never face justice for, due to him losing his life only months before the feds would swoop in and arrest all 5 of his close friends. This particular murder would go down as one of the most brazen assassinations carried out in Chicago since the days of Al Capone. But in total, there's over 10 murders of which King Von has been connected to over the years, and nobody has looked into all of them in great detail until now. So today, we're going to take a closer look at the man, his past, and his career to find out once and for all if King Von really was the first serial killer in hip-hop history.
He was in jail for 2 murders?
Type shit.
1 murder, 2 attempts.
4 shooters and a hail of bullets.
All of them was scatter bombs. All of them was scatter bombs.
Police found several shell casings in this parking lot.
King Von was bloodthirsty. He loved death. He loved killing.
I got a lot of guns. Just read how many I think.
King Von had an insatiable obsession with murder and violence.
The shooting leaves 1 person dead, 4 others injured.
Me? Hey, I know you. You ain't know me. I know you.
King Von probably would have been considered like a serial killer.
They labeled the man a serial killer. Them.
King Von, real name Davon Bennett.
Crazy thing is, you'll probably high key, but like, you'll probably high key
Chicago,
here.
Illinois. Growing up on West 78th in South Hermitage, an area known as Killer Ward, an area mainly affiliated with the Chicago gangs, the Gangster Disciples, and the Black Peace Stones. Von would attend Barton Elementary School in the area, but despite starting life as a fairly normal kid in Chicago, he would be subjected to the influence of gangbanging in his family home from a young age. His father was Walter E. Bennett, aka Silk, a well-known street dog from nearby Ada Park. Von was mainly raised by his mother, as his father was in and out of jail throughout his childhood. But Von's father was apparently a legend in the streets, with ties to the street gang, the Black Disciples. However, much like Von, despite the fearsome reputation he'd earned in the streets, it would ultimately be this proximity to gang life that would lead to his father's demise, as King Von's dad Silk was shot dead when Von was only 11 years old, apparently being targeted by a sniper outside of a skating rink, according to an interview with King Von's uncle.
Rest in peace, King Von. Rest in peace, Silk. That shit was crazy. Like, I'm with Big Bro every day. My fucking killer's dead. He was a sniper rifle. This shit get deep, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sniper. A nigga hit him with a sniper rifle. They at the fucking skate rink, but you know, that's another story.
It seems clear that King Von's father Silk was remembered as a legend of the block. However, coping with the loss of his father at such a young age clearly had a negative effect on the mindset of a young King Von. He would tweet and rap in freestyles years later that he simply couldn't sleep after his father's death.
They killed my daddy, I couldn't even go to sleep.
And throughout his teenage years, he would post RIP tributes to his father on Twitter to commemorate his birthdays. Naturally, Von would follow in his father's footsteps, getting involved in local gang politics at a young age, with Von actually telling 16-shot visuals in his very first interview that he got involved in the streets in 4th grade, eventually getting his hands on guns by the time he got to high school.
You was out toting pipes in 4th grade, like when you started?
I had BB guns. It wasn't that hectic. Like, it ain't get. I just been, you know, in the streets that's awesome. I like being outside. You know, one of the little boys that like sleeping up, just being outside all day, just go up bed and shit. You know? The gun, all that shit, that shit ain't kind of played to like what? Yeah, like late 8th grade, some shit, 7th, 8th grade when it really got to that point where you gotta hurt somebody.
High school, late 8th grade.
Protect yourself.
Von would rap on the unreleased song Wait that he jumped off the porch, getting deeply involved in gang politics in 2006 when he was just 12 years old. Von would initially be a member of a local street crew affiliated with the Gangster Disciples called Killer Ward, being seen in numerous group pictures with that crew. And affiliates from the area would later post tweets suggesting that Von was indeed putting in work for this crew during his time gangbanging in Killer Ward, with Von himself corroborating that he was close to the members in Killer Ward where he was born, but making it clear that he's always been a member of the Black Disciples due to his family affiliation. Now, Von would live around Killer Ward up to around 2008 or 9, after which he would eventually move to the infamous Parkway Gardens housing development. This housing complex is notorious for its affiliations with the Black Disciples street.
You feel me, this video is more, you feel me, for whoever was interested in the video that was deleted, you feel me. I'm helping y'all out, you feel me. Again, scratch your back, man.
Parkway Gardens would later be referred to by insiders as O Block, but prior to that, it was referred to as Wick City. And here, King Von would meet many of the people who would end up having a huge influence on his life and career. People famous for their affiliation to O Block, whether through the gang wars going on there or through the music that had been made about the gang war. People like Boss Top, Chief Keef, T-Roy, White, Duke, BJ, Big A, Trey 5, Sharoid, J Money, Platoon, and countless other people that played a big role in Von's life growing up. Von would also attend a new school in the area, the Hyde Park Academy, where he would attend with people from other rival territories with affiliations to the Gangster Disciples. People like FBG Duck, who would even claim in a Twitter exchange in 2014 to have plotted to beat King Von up on the school bus, and people like Lil Mark, who Von would even be seen in throwback pictures with before their feud had escalated into something deadly. Von and his friends started out their gangbanging careers with fistfights with the ops at school, schoolyard scuffles that would unfortunately escalate over the coming years, developing into a full-blown gang war with firearms involved. Over time, a teenage Von would begin getting more and more involved in Chicago's street gang conflicts, apparently bringing guns to school as young as age 13. Chop Squad, who went to school with both Von and G Herbo, would claim that Von would even show off guns in class, with it apparently being Von himself who started the trend of teenage gangbangers in their school bringing guns to class.
Von was the type of person to bring a pole to school at 13, Like, that's what me and Herb was talking about. He was like, he knew it was real when Von walked up to him in school. He was like, he had flashed a pole or something. He was like, Herb knew every day from there it was up. He was like, oh, we bringing guns to school? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's on now. He's like, every day from there, everybody brought guns to school. And he's like, Von was the one to start that off.
In fact, G Herbo would even later rap about this on a collaboration with Von called FaceTime, saying that Von showed him a revolver in freshman orientation, an experience which led G Herbo to begin bringing guns to school himself too. Now, King Von was apparently out of control as a youngster. According to one story, Von actually did a shooting on prom night whilst wearing his suit, after literally tweeting out that somebody better not try him in his suit. So naturally, you can imagine Von ended up spending a significant amount of time in trouble with the law as a teenager, with large patches of his most formative years spent inside jail cells. Von went to jail for the first time around August 2010 at age 16 for armed robbery, apparently robbing someone for their car at gunpoint, something that he would actually later refer to on his song Armed and Dangerous, saying that he was arrested on August 11th, 2 days after his 17th birthday, when he was offered 21 to 45 years in a plea deal. Von would end up spending time in boot camp, an intense military-style juvenile program, ultimately rewarding him with early release. But soon after that initial charge, Von would catch another in January 2011, ultimately spending 15 months behind bars as a juvenile, being locked up between December 2010 and March 2012. And during this time of incarceration, Von's best friend T-Roy would tweet calling for his release. Eventually, in March 2012, Von would be a free man once again, but he was only free for a matter of months, from March to November 2012. But during this time, Von would undergo a transformation, going from a gun-toting stick-up kid to a full-fledged killer after witnessing the death of one of his close friends, which, as he put it, turned him into a demon. Before we get into the first murders that King Von was allegedly involved in, I just want to take the time to consider the real reasons why he would be motivated to kill in the first place. Despite covering a lot of gangsters and hardened killers,
we'll probably do this whole next chapter. That's what we do. We'll do it in chapters, so it'll be over with. Yeah, all right, bet.
it's important to consider the social circumstances that need to exist for a teenage boy to start committing murders. Firstly, these areas where King Von grew up in Southside Chicago, Killer Ward and O Block, are incredibly poor and dangerous areas, with the latter even being described by the local Sun-Times newspaper as the most dangerous block in Chicago. Part of the reason why so many of these gang murders in Chicago go unsolved is due to the failure of policing in these areas. Someone like King Von grew up seeing death and destruction as a completely normal thing. And if the police never come to your area to solve crimes or deliver justice, it's easy to see why you would place more trust in street justice than in the state. Furthermore, you really have to ponder whose fault is it really that somewhere like O Block ended up being so poor and dangerous. While it's easy to blame the gangsters and killers there for cultivating a lawless environment, the city and the state politicians ultimately have failed to create the economic circumstances for someone to grow up safely in these areas. Had there been better economic prospects in the hoods of Chicago, perhaps many of these young men wouldn't have been forced into a life of crime and violence. Furthermore, when it comes to the analysis of King Von's eventual transformation into what some have described as a serial killer, there's actually an argument to be made that geography may have played a part in King Von feeling like he could get away with so many murders. The 70s to the 2000s have actually been described as the golden age of serial murder, and one possible cause for this phenomenon around this period has been cited as urbanization and the concentration of inner city living. Some people have said that putting so many people in such close proximity ends up offering a unique level of anonymity when it comes to committing crimes in these complicated, busy and overpopulated areas. Put simply, this means that in O Block, the sheer amount of people, overlapping gang conflicts, and normalization of violence on the streets means that somebody like King Von could kill multiple people without attracting too much attention to him personally. As sad as it is to say, in the eyes of the cops, a victim is just another casualty of the gang war rather than a specific crime that could be solved. And it's these circumstances that were the perfect conditions for a young King Von to begin killing people in his community with minimal consequences. And whilst King Von was in jail, gun violence had raged on between the Black Disciples from Wick City and the rival Gangster Disciples from St. Lawrence and Eberhard Avenues, or STLEBT. And during this time, whilst King Von was incarcerated, a 15-year-old gangster disciple from the rival hood by the name of Tuka was murdered. Real name Shondale Gregory.
Okay, so I know about Tuka.
At a bus stop
I
on
didn't
the
know his real
600
name.
block of East 63rd Street on the 12th of January 2011 at around 6:48 p.m. It was around that time that a masked gunman jumped out of a vehicle, shooting Tuka several times. Tuka was hated by his rivals from the Black Disciples, and over the next decade, BDs would continue to disrespect him on social media and in popular songs. And in honor of their fallen friend, Gangster Disciples from St. Lawrence and Eberhard would rename their area Tukaville. It's never been fully revealed to the public who killed Tuka, but ever since, there has been intense speculation that a boy named O.D. Perry from Wick City might have had something to do with it. This is partly due to him being pictured regularly with a silver revolver, and the witness report from the Tuka murder stated that Tuka was actually shot with a long-barreled silver revolver. Regardless of whether or not O.D. was really the person who killed Tuka, that didn't really matter, because later that year, on August the 10th, 2011, in an act of retaliation, O.D. Perry was killed just outside Parkway Gardens. He would suffer multiple gunshot wounds, including one to the neck, at about 11:35 p.m. Just like Tukaville, Wick City was also renamed in the memory of their fallen friend O.D., O Block, and it's believed that one of the shooters who killed O.D. was a female teenage shooter by the name of Jakira Barnes, or K.I. Following the murder, K.I. would begin to pose on social media with a silver revolver, similar to the one that O.D. was known to carry. And her rumoured involvement in this murder of a beloved O-Block member would lead to K.I. becoming a major target herself, with matters not helped by the fact that she would regularly tweet insulting O.D. Perry and alluding to having killed him, along with others who would openly claim that K.I. made the O, meaning that she killed O.D. and was the one that caused Wick City to change the name of their block to O Block. But the tragedies in O Block were far from over. On the 18th of October 2011, another O Block native by the name of Patoon, real name Edward Riley, would be shot dead inside O Block after being approached by two people with firearms. Another devastating loss to the community would come when 19-year-old Sherroyd Liggins would be shot in the head and left for dead on February the 16th, 2012. Also at O Block. This murder was particularly notable for the fact that it was believed that Sherroyd was killed by a Tukaville shooter by the name of Boss Trell from a long distance using a red laser beam attached to his gun. And following the murder, K.I. would regularly tweet about this detail. Boss Trell was apparently a firearms fanatic, even uploading YouTube tutorials on how to take a Glock 40 apart. He would also show off a gun with a red laser beam attached to it, possibly the very one used in the murder, in a music video for a Chief Keef diss song called Critical by Lil J and FBG Duck. As the gang war in his neighborhood continued to take more and more of his friends' lives, King Von would get more and more involved, continuing to play a role in the gang war going on in Chicago's street underworld. Von later rapped on the song Don't Want to Be Me that everything changed for him in 2012, and that this is when he decided to get more active in the gang war, with Von saying specifically that the deaths of OD and Platoon completely changed his plans and led him to put on a mask and get active in the gang war. Now, there's a lot of speculation about the exact murders that Von was allegedly involved in. We might never know definitively if he was truly involved in all the violence that he was rumored to be associated with, but the very first murder that Von was associated with took place on April the 28th, 2012, when a group of 4 men would catch a man called King Doc, real name Marlon Monroe, shooting him as he walked into a convenience store, with Doc apparently stumbling into a patch of tall weeds after the shooting, where he would pass away and lay undiscovered for hours. Doc would eventually be found dead by his 16-year-old cousin, Modell McCambry. Doc would be remembered as an original native of St. Lawrence and Eberhart Avenues, with his affiliation to the area likely the reason that the killers from O-Block would target him, despite the fact that Doc had apparently left the gang life behind him, becoming a painter to get out of the streets. Apparently hurt by the death of his cousin, Modell, that boy who discovered Doc's body, would then begin to get more involved in the gangs in the area too, beginning to hang around with people like KI and FBG Duck, as well as being seen on social media with guns. In fact, it's actually around this time that social media begins to play a bigger and bigger role in the gang war in Chicago. And during this time, King Von himself would become a prolific user of Twitter, beginning a flurry of activity on the platform after signing up in June 2012, and going on to tweet constantly about his activities in the streets, seemingly with no fear about incriminating himself. Von would openly claim to be drilling in the name of O.D. Perry. He would say that he was like Phineas and Ferb in the streets with his best friend and fellow O-Block shooter T-Roy, warning ops not to diss them, claiming to shoot people like it's nothing. He would tweet that he's been drilling from young and even wants to kill cops too. He would say outright that he will whack people. He would regularly diss numerous rival hoods and gangs, and be claiming to be paranoid due to having so many people trying to kill him. Von claimed on Twitter to get so enraged whenever he hears the name Tuca or St. Lawrence that his trigger finger just starts itching. But during this time that Von was tweeting openly about all the crimes that he was willing to do in the streets, these crimes would continue to play out. On August the 7th, 2012, Von would make a tweet saying that homicide is in the air and that it smells like a graveyard. Then, in the early hours of the morning the following day, on August the 8th, 2012, a group of guys from O-Block, rumored to include King Von and T-Roy, would be out looking for enemies to kill. Dirty Rel, real name Terrell Joshua, an older member with affiliations to St. Lawrence, Eberhart, and Jarrow City, who had actually moved out of Chicago but was back in town, would end up being shot dead and found on a sidewalk on the first block of East 56th Street in Washington Park just before 3:30 a.m. However, in this case, retaliation would come fast. As the day of August 8th, 2012 goes by, that same evening, around 11:30 p.m., King Von is out with his close friend White White, real name Tony Dunn. They would go to a convenience store together on East 63rd Street and South Martin Luther King Drive.
I wonder how long it took to make this.
White White waited outside. At this point, a gunman pulls up, shooting White White in the back, with a police officer on the scene even returning fire and hitting the shooter, who ultimately managed to escape. White White would be pronounced dead in the early hours of the morning on August the 9th, 2012. This date just so happened to be King Von's 18th birthday. This was a devastating incident for Von, who would tweet numerous times about the murder of his friend Whitey, including this one where he said that he had just bought Whitey a pill and gone inside the store, only coming back outside to find a crowd surrounding his shot friend and at first believing that Whitey would be okay. After this, Von would tweet messages saying that this killing is what led him to act out, and in the days following, he would be pledging to kill his enemies publicly. Von later elaborated on his mindset around this period in his song Demon, saying outright that witnessing the death of his close friend Whitey on his 18th birthday is the exact thing that turned him into a demon. And Von would rap that after this, him and his right-hand man T-Roy would be doing hits back-to-back to avenge this tragic loss. Von would apparently be trying to kill much more ruthlessly after this, desperately wanting to get at rival shooters K.I. and Wooski, who had mocked White White's death on Twitter. In September 2012, King Von and others caught K.I. on the train, apparently beating her up and mocking her on Twitter in the aftermath. Von would eventually catch up with K.I. in much more deadly circumstances, but not for a couple of years. For now, he would continue to gangbang in the streets with his O-Block brothers like T-Roy, ultimately winding up implicated in numerous murders as he continued to seek revenge for the murder of White White, and one body at a time, building up a fearsome reputation as one of O-Block's most ruthless killers.
All right, so look, that's chapter 1. You feel me? We're gonna stop it right there. We're gonna come back. Like I said, we're gonna do multiples. So just be ready, you feel me? Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. We out.